Welcome to the Explainer. In today's crazy competitive hiring market, how do you really know if a candidate is going to succeed? Well, today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most common tools out there that tries to answer that exact question, the Predictive Index Cognitive Assessment. All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. We've set this up like a journey, really. First, we'll get a handle on what this assessment is all about. Then, we'll take it apart to see how it works. From there, we'll jump into how it's used in the real world, cover the super important ethical side of things, and finally, we'll figure out what success looks like, whether you're taking the test or giving it.
Okay, so first things first, let's get right to the heart of it. What is this thing actually trying to measure? And more importantly, why does it even matter when you're trying to build a killer team?
So here's the absolute crucial thing to get. This is not an IQ test. It's not about what you already know. It's all about measuring something called general cognitive ability, or G. And what does that mean? Basically, it's predicting how fast you can learn, adapt, and handle complicated stuff. Think of it as a measure of trainability. How quickly can someone jump in, get up to speed, and start crushing new challenges?
Okay, so we know the why. Now let's pull back the curtain and see the how. How is this thing actually built? Because if you don't understand the format, the timing, the scoring, you're not going to have a clue how to interpret the results. Just these three numbers. They tell the whole story, really. You've got 50 questions, but only 12 minutes to do them. Do the math. That's barely 15 seconds a question. It's intense. And with a global average score hanging around 250, you can see right away this thing is all about speed and thinking on your feet under some serious pressure. And this really gets to the two big ideas behind the test. First, that crazy time pressure, it's not just to make you sweat. It's put there on purpose to see how well you can process information when the clock is ticking. And second, that scaled score. It's not just a grade. It's way smarter than that. It compares you to a huge group of other people, so you get a real sense of where you stand in the grand scheme of things. Now, like any tool, this one has its pros and cons, and you've got to know both. On the plus side, it's super fast, it's simple. But the downside? Well, it's only looking at one thing, cognitive ability. It tells you nothing about someone's drive, their personality, their grit. And the biggest danger for sure is using it as a lazy filter. Just automatically tossing out anyone who scores below a certain number without looking at anything else about them. That is a huge mistake, and it's where things can get really problematic. All right, enough with the theory, let's get practical. How does this thing actually get used in a real-life, honest-to-goodness hiring process? Okay, let's put you in the hiring manager's seat for a second. Imagine this. A candidate scores a 230. The target you set for the job was a 260. So, what do? Based only on that number, what's the right move? Seriously, feel free to pause and think about it. Do you just disqualify them right then and there? If you thought, maybe not an automatic no, then you're absolutely on the right track. And look at this quote from the people who make the test. They say it themselves. The score is not meant to be the only deciding factor. It's just one piece of the puzzle. If you disqualify someone based on just that score, you're not using the tool right. Plain and simple. You're completely missing the whole person. And that whole scenario perfectly sets us up for our next topic, which is just so critical, the ethics. What are the rules of the road for using this tool the right way, so you actually get value from it without causing problems? Okay, these right here are the absolute must-dos, the non-negotiables. Number one, you never, ever use the score as a simple pass-fail. You have to look at the whole person. Be consistent. Give it to every candidate at the same point in the process. Keep the scores themselves internal. You talk about fit, not the number. And you always, always have a job target set before anyone even takes the test. Sticking to these isn't just nice to have. It's how you stay fair, reduce bias, and honestly, keep yourself out of legal hot water. All right, let's bring it all home and talk strategy. Whether you're the one giving the test or the one taking it, how do you make sure you come out on top? For hiring managers, this is huge. A big part of success is how you talk about the results, especially if a candidate asks. You can't just throw a number at them. This 5-step model is a fantastic, respectful way to handle it. You kick things off by asking how the test felt for them. You frame the result in a way that makes sense, like a percentile, and you always, always circle back to the main point. This is just one little piece of the giant puzzle that is them. And I just love this quote from an industry pro. It really hits the nail on the head. She talks about seeing 3 candidates with almost identical profiles on paper, but knowing, just from talking to them, that they were completely different people. And that's it, right? Data is valuable, but data isn't a person. An assessment gives you a snapshot, but it can never ever replace that human connection of actually getting to know someone.
So let's wrap this up. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with, it's this. The PI cognitive assessment is a powerful predictor, no doubt, but its real magic only happens when it's used as one part of a bigger, more human-focused hiring strategy. It gives you a really important piece of data, but at the end of the day, it's up to you, the leader, the hiring manager, to see the whole person, not just the score.